Alright, Sunday, May the 8th, and we're back on the 1981 Alfa Romeo Spider Veloce project. And I can hear some birds chirping away out here in the tree, and as you can see, the trees are just starting to come out here, starting to finally get some leaves on the trees. Still a little bit chilly out, but nice and sunny and bright, so good day to be out in the garage. Anyway, today's project is going to be replacing the old original convertible top on the car with a brand new convertible top from Alfaholics, and we'll talk about that in a bit more detail in a minute. Alright, Doc has decided that he wants to put a new convertible top on this car. I'd taken a private video for Doc and showed him that even though the top was serviceable on the car, it actually had a few little warts here and there, a few little repairs, nothing that went all the way through. This is actually just on the outside seam and it's not through anyway. So there was a few little areas of concern on the top, and it is the original 40-year-old top on the car. And as mentioned to Doc, as soon as you start doing things like the carpet and the seats, for example, it starts making some of the surrounding components look a little tatty. So decided to go with a new convertible top. Instead of the original vinyl top, he's opted to go with a really nice canvas. This is a German or Italian made, I think it's German made canvas top. Not sure who the manufacturer is, but it is from Alfaholics. You might notice I've got another top here on top, and this one is from Centerline. This one is made by a company called Electron Tops, and we ordered the second one from Centerline as we thought it might be a little bit lighter. We were trying to get a little bit closer to the original color of the top. You can see this is a little bit darker, but you can probably see that that top there from Centerline is pretty much the same color as the Alfaholics top. The Alfaholics top, in my mind, is a little bit better quality. It's got a little bit better feel to the cloth itself. It's got a nicer lining, and it's already pre-punched here, which is kind of important for me. It's already pre-punched for the holes around the back rail of the car. There are 22 little studs and nuts that need to be removed to get the rear of the top off, and it's nice that these are already pre-punched for you to reposition it properly. The other thing that I like about the Alfaholics top is it already comes pre-wired with the tensioning wire, so Doc had sent along an extra set of cables that would have been required actually for the Centerline top. They are not pre-installed, so I do have an extra set of cables if need be, but it's nice to see that the tensioning cables have already been fed through the Alfaholics top. So I've not installed a convertible top on an Alfa Romeo Spider before. I have done a Triumph a couple of times, so this will be new territory for me. I am going to be using this guide here to convertible top installation as well as removal. Obviously we need to remove the old top first. So it's got removal instruction, installation instruction, it's also got adjustment instructions here. Unfortunately, the only thing that I'd prefer with this book would be if it would be better if it had color pictures. It's in black and white, but I guess doing color would be a little bit too expensive for them to produce this. So anyway, it's a good guide. We're going to follow this pretty much to the T. As mentioned, I haven't done a Alfa top previously. So we're going to be following this guide closely when we get around to doing that, which will be shortly. I've got a Lynn stopping by this morning to help me remove the top. Just always good to have a second set of hands, a second set of eyes when it comes to working with a convertible top. We are going to have to be stretching it when we get to installing the new top later on. I want Lynn here as a second set of eyes to look at things like the front seal, for example, how that's installed. When we're uninstalling it, it's also good to obviously take notes when you're doing that, so you know how to put it back together properly. We're going to be doing this installation over a couple of days. What I want to do initially is remove the top. So today's major task is to remove the old top. I don't expect it'll take very long to remove the old top, but I want to remove it and I want to clean the areas up required. Possibly the bows might have some glue that I need to strip off. Possibly the water channels in the rear of the car will probably need to be cleaned out. So I want to have a little period of time to make sure everything's good to go before we put the new top back on. So that's why it's going to be a bit of a 2-day process. Stripping, cleaning, and then installation. Now I'm going to do my best to do a step-by-step installation guide. I haven't seen a video on YouTube that details this. There are a few write-ups on the online forums out there, but there's nothing on video that I can find that might be helpful to anybody that's thinking of doing this project on their own. So I will do as per usual and will do my best to document this as we go along with the removal and the installation of this new top. All right, Alina's here, so we're going to start with the removal process of the top. And again, as mentioned, I'm going to be following this guideline. So the first thing we're going to do is remove the edge guides, and these are the edge guides here. So top up, I think it says latched, but top up, and we're going to remove these two edge guides, one this side and one on the driver's side. So we'll go ahead and do that now just with a Phillips screwdriver. Now the next few steps assume that you have your interior in your car, and what you're going to need to do is follow the guide, and you're going to need to remove the rear carpeting to be able to get to the bolts that you're looking for, which are under this little seal here. So you've got 22 studs and nuts that run along in the back here and hold the convertible top to the car. But again, in able to get to those, you're going to need to remove the carpet if you have the carpet in. Since I'm replacing the carpet, I've already got that out. So the next step for you would be to remove your carpet pieces. And then the next step for us is going to be removing those 22 nuts from those studs around the car. I previously sprayed them with a little bit of penetrating oil to make that a little easier. So hopefully they should come off okay. All right, we've removed the 22 fasteners from the rear here, are the nuts and washers off the studs. And we removed the water seal, I guess it's called, and it's in three pieces. There's three pieces of channel that hold the actual rear of the convertible top in place. So here are the sides. We did mark them front and up, and driver's side, passenger side. And here is the one that goes around the rear of the car, the main section. So we'll move on to the next step. We'll go back to the guide and see what we do next. We haven't pulled the fabric of the convertible top off the studs yet. We've just left it so far, but we'll get there shortly, I'm sure. All right, next step is to drill out the rivets on the side supports. So here's the side supports here, just on this panel. And on the inside here, you're probably not going to be able to see this maybe, but there are three rivets here. So we're going to drill these out with an 1/8 inch drill bit. So there's three rivets per side. So we'll go ahead and we'll do that now. So we've drilled those three rivets out per side, and now what we're going to do is we're going to take the little plate out that's folded around the material from the inside here. So there's actually a metal plate in here that's wrapped. You can just see the tail end of it here. We're going to actually pull that out and unwrap it from the fabric of the top. So we'll go ahead and we'll do that now. So this is how that fabric piece wraps around here. So like this, and then if I look on the other side, and then if I unwrap it a little bit further, then you see the actual piece of metal on the inside that's riveted to that piece of fabric. So then we'll just remove it from the rivets. I can't do it one-handed, unfortunately, but there's what you look at. Looks like on that B-post convertible top side. All right, we need to now remove the cables from the turnbuckles. So here's what the turnbuckles look like right there. And apparently there's a 7mm wrench on the bottom here, which is the little lock nut. We've got to actually remove that. There's a 7mm down here, and we've got a lock nut up the top there as well. So we'll go ahead and we'll remove those and move on to the next step. All right, these are the pieces from the turnbuckles from both sides. So the cables are now hanging free, and you can see the bottom of the turnbuckle is still there in place. We're just going to leave that there temporarily on the frame. I'm not sure whether it needs to be removed or not entirely, but I think we're okay to leave it there. So the cables are free, so we'll move on to the next step. We'll bag these up, and we'll go on to the next step, which is going to be to remove the fabric overlays over the bows here on the top. These are glued in place, so the next step is to carefully peel these away from the bow, from the metal pieces that go across the top. And I guess it depends on how well your glue is doing, but this looks like it's coming apart fairly easily without the assistance of any scissors. But anyway, that's what the next step is, to remove the fabric from the bows. And there are three of them. And just a quick note, when you're ungluing the overlays, the fabric overlays, there is a certain direction that needs to be glued back in. So maybe pay attention when you're actually, although it does outline it in the guide below here, just kind of make a note as you're tearing them off the bows, which direction they're actually glued in from the factory. That's the way you want to put it back. So while we're in the car, we're going to go ahead and we're just going to remove the back convertible bottom of the convertible top from the studs here at the rear of the car. The next step is to actually fold the top back. So we'll just remove this from the studs before we get to that point, while Lynn's still in the car. So the next step is outside of the car. All right, next step according to the guide is removing these front corner bolts, but we've decided that we don't have those in our top. We actually have rivets here. So we've got a rivet on each side, and it goes through to the other side here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to drill that rivet out to release this, but I believe this should be a bolt, or may have been a bolt. I'm not sure if this has been replaced at some point or whether the factory went to rivets later on in life, but we're going to remove what's there currently, and we'll decide what we want to replace it with at a later date. Alright, it's telling us to, next step, since we've got the corner released, and actually you can actually see the cable under here that is the tensioner cable, actually attaches there to the frame, just for reference, so that's good to notice that. So next thing we're going to do is remove the rubber gasket from the front of the frame here, and we'll move on to the next step after that. So Lynn and I are familiar with this type of seal. It is an absolute pain in the butt. So it's a metal channel, as you can see here, that runs along the inside, and then the seal rides in that channel. So it's got this little profile that actually gets tucked down. It's kind of like, you can probably see it here. See if I can get a better shot of it. This actual seal has got a little channel cut into it that rides in there, and it takes forever to get this seal in. It sort of slides. Well, we'd like to say it would slide in from the end, but generally that doesn't work very well. But it's going to be a bear, I'm sure, to get back in. So we're not looking forward to that already.
I will be sick that day.
Yeah, he's going to be sick that day. All right, we do have a new seal on hand to play with, so hopefully that'll be nice and supple, at least, so it'll go in there nice and easily. All right, on to the next step. Let's see what that is. All right, now that the seal is off, we're going to drill out the rivets that are holding the channel in all the way along, so we can remove that metal channel that's holding the top to the actual frame. All right, there's that channel removed, so just put that away somewhere safely. I'm not sure if these are available to buy new. I know they are available for Triumphs, but maybe not for Alphas, so we're going to hang on to that, and we'll move on to the next step, which is probably removing the fabric, but let me just check here where we're at. Peel top fabric. So we're going to peel this away and see what we get underneath. Okay, so there's that front seal removed and the fabric peeled off there. So we just moved it around the edge here. So that'll give me a good opportunity to clean up all this old glue, maybe give this frame a quick coat of paint before we go to the next step. So that's looking good. So on to the next step, which will be page 20 of the manual. Removing the cables. We were just asking how do we remove the cables, so let's figure that out together. Right, so the next thing is to remove the cables. So we're going to pull the cables through from the back from the turnbuckles all the way to the front of the car. That should be the only thing that's really holding the top in place at the moment. You can see the cable coming through here, and so we'll pull that up through, and then we should be able to remove the convertible top.
This is glued too, you see?
Oh, it's glued on the inside?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so we've got to peel this piece of fabric from the B-post as well. All right, here is the cable, the aforementioned cable, and we've just pulled it out through the pocket. That rides in a pocket here on the top. So we've just pulled that all the way through, again, back from the turnbuckles forward. Now this top should be loose, and we can remove it entirely from the car. Yay! So there you go. Looks not too bad. Again, that's why we're doing this over a 2-day or a 2-step process. We're going to be able to clean up all of these bows, for example, and the top rail, get a quick coat of paint on that, and clean up all the glue residue that's there. So anyway, that is the process pretty much to remove the top. I don't think we're missing anything else. Oh, vacuum dirt and debris from the water channel in the rear. So we're going to give this a good clean up. We'll give that a good wax as well. Looks to be in pretty good shape, just dirty. I don't see a lot of rust in there, which is good. So I can imagine that these can get pretty rusty on some older, more high mileage cars. So I'm glad that's in good shape. Otherwise you'd need to possibly do some extensive repairs in that area, since I'm sure it would hold moisture. All right, so that is the top removal process. Like I said, the next step is to clean everything up, and we'll come back when we're ready to install the new top on the car. Thank you.
Ciao ragazzi.
All right, we're going to start the cleanup process, and I figured I'm going to be working on this front rail first, So what I want to do is I want to remove the latching hardware just to be able to get a wire brush in there a little bit more easily. So I've removed the one from the driver's side out, and we're just going to remove the passenger side just with these two screws here, and that actually has that little looping fastener. So we'll just remove that and get that out of the way, bag it up, and we'll start the cleaning process. So we're going to do a combination of wire brushing, probably on an electric drill. We've also got an air-powered die grinder with a wire brush attachment, a Dremel, anything you've got pretty much. I think for the bows, they don't look too bad. I might be able to just Scotch-Brite those to get the glue residue off, maybe with a little bit of Goo Gone. Anyway, we'll see what the best practice is, and we'll report back. We're going to clean this channel as well, just probably some soap and water, some Dawn dish detergent, and some hot water. Should be able to get that fairly clean. We'll come back once that's cleaned as well. Alright, we're just ready to hit it with the wire brush, and what I thought I would do before I get to that point is my fabric here along the top header on the top side and the bottom side here is still in good shape. So I wanted to make sure I protect that just to make sure I don't hit it with the wire brush by mistake. So I've just got a little bit of masking tape here and actually on the underside as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to clean this up again. I've just got a wire brush on an electric drill standing by. So we're going to do that. And like I mentioned previously, all other methods will be considered as well in order to get the residual glue off and just this little bit of surface rust. So we'll make that look better before we hit it with a coat of paint to last another 40 years. Alright guys, you can probably see we've got those three bow rails all cleaned up, back down to bare metal, scuffed up with a green and maroon Scotch-Brite. So we're ready for the paint stage, so we'll give those another nice couple coats of semi-gloss paint. We also have this rail back here cleaned up of all the glue residue and some of the surface rust. We'll give that a quick coat of paint. We'll cover up the car before we do that. So we'll do that now. We'll probably do this in 2 stages. Again, a couple of different coats, and then that should be good as far as the bows and the front rail are concerned. Alright guys, quick end of day update. So as you saw, we had stripped the bows clean of all of the glue. We've now got 2 coats of semi-gloss black applied, and they look good as new. So those will let dry for the next couple of days before we go on to the next stop. You got to make sure your paint's nice and dry, otherwise your glue possibly will not stick to it or actually might peel the paint. So we'll wait for that to set up and cure properly. We got the B-post cleaned up and painted as well, and we have that water channel all nicely cleaned out. We make sure the drains are clear. The actual drains actually drain out just right here in front of the tire, and it looks like there's a drain up the front as well. For one of the other drains, there's actually the drain hose is here. So there's one drain hose here that goes out, and there's a drain hose here, and there's a drain hose here, I believe. So anyway, that's it guys for now. We will bring you back for part 2 when we go to actually install the top. I do have some parts standing by for that. Obviously you've seen the convertible top we're going with from Alfaholics. We have a few other bits and bobs here. We've got a brand new front seal. We've got some new side tensioners if required. We didn't know if the ones on the car were seized, so we thought we better have some standing by. So we've got some new tensioners here, and we've got some new cable, tensioning cable if required as well. We want to make sure you have everything on hand before you start the project. Otherwise it's going to slow things down while you wait for parts. Alright guys, that's it for now. We'll upload this so you can see where we're at, and we'll get it back out here for part 2 probably within the next couple days. See you then. Thanks for watching.